of our body corporate quotes that we did. They had their GM meeting, blah blah blah, the vote on stuff that needed to be cleaned and whatnot. So I'll run you through the start to finish of the job and how it laid out. You put down in the comments what you think. Would you do it? Would you not do it? Would you put the conditions in it? You let me know from start to finish, and we'll go from there. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, if you could subscribe to the channel, that'll be a big help to boost me out there, because I just try and give real talks about real events and just what's happening in my business. I am still painting. I started this one this morning nice and early. The sun has gone down and I'm here for a couple more hours, but I just thought I'd sit down and talk with this. Okay. So we're going to hit off the website. So they've come off the website because they love the website. Very professional, they said, and they love everything about that. The interaction from the start, bringing the wife at home, which handles the phone calls. They love that. All the communication was fine. So we decided to go out to the property because we do that with all our commercial properties. We like to show up in the truck and shake hands and walk around and see if we can upsell and try and do other things. So they were wanting all the concrete clean, so they wanted a quote for all the concrete up around the top deck. So this one had a ramp. It was a 5-level or 6-level complex. So they had a bit of a ramp that drives up to like a lobby area, and that whole lobby area was painted in 2-pack epoxy up there, and then they had the line marking on top of that in the whole car park. And then down the ramp that goes down into the basement was just all concrete. Around the front was all concrete, and they had painted walls, like little nib walls around the gardens and stuff. They're all painted. So we rocked up. We talked with the body corporate manager, which does the rentals and stuff in the complex, and she's kind of the project manager for all the contractors. So we talked to her, and she was hinting that they were really concerned about the wash, that it didn't damage the epoxy painting on the top area there, because it's been laid down. I'm like, okay, I'm a painter by trade, so I've seen this before. I've seen it in garages. I know what I'm dealing with. I've got the years of experience behind me because I've been painting since I was 18. So I've got 18 years behind me in the painting industry. So we said, that's all right. What we'll do today is we'll do a little test patch on the disabled bay where the line marking is, and we'll clean half. What we did is we cleaned about 2 square meters in the smack bang middle of the driveway where the epoxy floor was. So we did a couple of test patches, and we worked out that we'd have to hit it with low pressure surface cleaner, so the same as what we'd clean a tennis court with, and we would have to hit it with a 2% chlorine mix to lift the dirt off, to make it easier to surface clean off the bat. So there was a couple of things to review message. Sorry, I don't know what that was, Jabba. But there was a couple of things that we worked out when we were doing the test patch. And we took photos before and after of the disabled bay, and that we cleaned the surface without taking the line marking paint off. And she come out, she took some photos, and everything was sweet. So that was about a month ago. Then we get an email back today that's 9 pages long as a response to this project. So basically what happened is another guy come in and washed down the complex before me, and they damaged the concrete so much they had to lay down the epoxy flooring on the top section of the driveway, and then that caused them to redo the line marking on the top section of the epoxy as well. So what they come back to me was, and they're like, well, you need to warrant your work that it won't do any damage. You need to warrant that it won't lift the line marking and all this type of stuff. And I pretty much rang them up and said, hey, I'm really sorry that you had a bad experience with your last pressure washer, but we can't guarantee that our system is not going to lift paint, it's not going to lift the epoxy floor, because I don't know how it's been prepped, I don't know how it's been laid, I don't know how long it's been on the ground for. I don't know if they laid down the line marking straight away. I don't know if they put it, it's not going to stick to the epoxy floor. Like, I don't know a lot of factors, and I can't promise that there's not going to be any damage. I'm going to do everything in my power to minimize any damage done by my surface cleaner, because I clean tennis courts all the time, and as soon as you see that paint lift up in the corner, you know it's pretty soft. And you back off and you either pull out your M5 and you rinse it, or you try and hit with a strong chemical mix and rinse it. But then they come back to us and said, no, well, if you're not going to guarantee this stuff, then we're going to have to shop elsewhere. I'm like, well, you can shop elsewhere, but you're probably not going to get the results and commitment that you're chasing. And the $9,000, so I quoted, it was about $4,000 to clean the concrete, and it was $5,000 to redo the line marking at the top. So I don't know why they were carrying on about the line marking, unless they were only looking for the clean and they didn't want to do the line marking on the quote, but they never told me that. But that was, we'd have to lay down the greaser, we'd have to scrub the floor because of the epoxy. We didn't want to put too much pressure, because with epoxy floors, you've got all the tire marks up the top there, you've got all the grime that sticks to the epoxy floor. As the tires go across the epoxy, they twist on the grip, so it kind of lifts the epoxy, so then you don't know if that's penetrated in through the layer and then gone down through the base. If they haven't grinded and prepped that properly at the start. Dulux International, I'm not quite sure, South Australia. I do use Dulux line marking paint, but I love it, and that's basically all I use. So I just don't know what they use, because line marking crews, they come in, they use obviously whatever they buy in bulk, and I don't know what product they use, but regardless of that, you can't offer a warranty when you don't know the backstory of all that type of stuff. Like, I'll offer a warranty with, if I clean a roof and there's no algae, I'll offer a 12-month warranty that the roof won't look the same, and it'll look perfect for about a year, 2 years. If there's tree coverage, well, you can't offer that warranty. You say, well, there's too much tree coverage, it's probably going to get hammered in the first year. But you know yourself, that roof is going to take 12 years to get to that stage. If it's only a little bit of black mold, it's going to take at least 12 to 18 months to get to that stage. So you can offer warranties in that factor, but don't try and offer a warranty for fresh concrete or epoxy floors, because you don't know what damage cars are doing to it. The hot tires could lift that membrane and you don't know about it, and then you run over with the surface cleaner Probably a lot of you guys are out there, you've cleaned stencil concrete before, and then you've gone over a section and it's lifted the stencil concrete and just disintegrated into dust. Because you don't know what prep work they're doing it. So please, in your quotes, if this helps somebody out, put that you're not liable for the preparation of that surface. You'll do everything possible to minimize the damage, but you're not liable for them not cleaning their concrete. And you know, I can show you the concrete around my house, and that stencil concrete is lifting everywhere, and that's because it wasn't prepped. And I'm probably going to have to go through and water blast it all out and paint it properly again, but it's coming off in sheets. And I could probably do a live video and show people that, and this is what happens when you don't I didn't do the stencil concrete, somebody else did it, but obviously it wasn't prepped the first time or wasn't sealed. So I used to do epoxy floors, so I've worked with another company that does them full time. I have a mate that does them full time, so I know a lot about epoxy floors, sanding, grinding. I didn't go so much into the polished concrete because I just stay away from that, but I know how to lay down a flake floor, I know how to lay down a self-leveling floor, a metallic floor. I know how to do all that. I've got stuff on my website about that, but when we get a lead for that type of stuff, we refer it out to people now. We don't do it because of my lower back, so bending down to cut in the garage and grind it all out is a little bit too much for me. So I try and palm that work off now. I love doing it, and it's an awesome service and job to get into because it looks awesome once you're done. And you can change like a really dismal area into something really nice. I am in Australia, in Queensland, on the Sunshine Coast. So that's where I am. So we're working late tonight. So we're out of Kenilworth, so we're doing a favour for the show committee because they give me a lot of work, washing work, and I clean a lot of the committee's houses, and they were having troubles finding a painter. So I put my hand up and took my painting brushes off retirement and said I'll come out and sort you guys out. Yeah, I'm out here for a couple of days and then I'm back into washing. Like we're washing tomorrow, washing the outside of the hall. So it's a massive hall, and then we're back into washing next week. Yeah, we've got some trash talk. But anyway, I thought that would probably help somebody out in the industry and save them the heartache of trying to go through that. But either I'm going to go do the job and just soft wash it and not do the line marking, but I can't, once again, I can't promise the surface is going to come up clean if I don't put any pressure on it. Especially if the stains are stubborn. Like I can surface clean it really softly, but I just can't guarantee they're going to get the result that they want and they're going to be happy with. Because when you got a customer that has had a bad experience with another cheaper service, because this is what these body corporates go for, they go for the cheapest service, and then you are the second guy on the hit list next time they want to clean, and you're the good guy because they've only got one quote from somebody else, then they're going to throw all the problems onto you. And that's just what they do. And sometimes it's better to walk away from money like that rather than do the job and have somebody come after you and say, hey, there's a little bit of damage over in the corner here, you're going to have to repair that section of the driveway. And that's the problem that they had at the start, is somebody damaged a new driveway they had to lay down the epoxy and redo the line marking. It obviously cost the body corporate tons of money because the guy doing it probably didn't have insurance, because that's why they're coming back to me with a 9-page exclamation mark on how concrete should be cleaned and how epoxy should be cleaned, and then they're coming back to me about how line marking should be applied. So I'm definitely not doing the line marking at all. I'll attempt the wash, but I will get them to confirm with my test patch that I did that they're happy with that before I even thought about doing the wash. Just for that reason. It's not so much the cheaper labour, it's just the cheaper guy that doesn't know how to quote jobs or doesn't know how to wash that, and he gets really excited when he gets a big job and thinks, oh yeah, that's $6 grand to wash that, and you don't realise that it's going to take you 2 weeks to wash it. Like, we've got a driveway coming up that's 4,500 square meters. That's pretty good. That's going to take 2 guys 3 days to finish off. Like, it is setting up, packing up, setting up, packing up, setting up, packing up. It is a really long driveway, and you got to work in around cars, you got to work in around people. And if you're the cheap guy and you come in and quote that job at $3,000 because you want the job and it's fantastic and you're happy to make $1,500 a week, that's fine. That's up to you. Please just don't try and damage anything while you're in the process, because all you're going to do is hurt yourself later on down the track when you become more expensive, and then you've got to deal with all those problems again. So if you can learn how to do it from the start and not damage anything, then that's awesome for everybody, and we don't have to deal with these problems. We don't get these conversations, and then we can all move on. And customers get a better experience, and they might hire you again, but if they have a bad experience, they're definitely not going to hire you again. So I don't know, that's just what I'm seeing. I've been beaten on a fair few body corporates, but I'm not the cheapest guy around. I know there's another guy, he's got 2 other guys that work for him, and he's charging out $80 an hour, so he charges by the hour, I charge by the meter, because I don't want to be penalised if I do the job faster because I got better equipment and because I spend more money on my business. You know, there's companies out there that'll rock up with 5 pressure washers out the back of a trailer, clean a whole school. In my area, I've seen it last year, clean the whole school, and they're cheap as chips. But at the end of the day, they're only cleaning up 1 story, 2 stories as far as they can reach. They're not getting the gutters up on the 2.5 story levels. So you get what you pay for. So, and I'm still trying to win that contract back. But because they're so cheap and the project manager doesn't see anything wrong with what they're doing, it's going to take 2 to 3 years for that mold to grow up on the white gutter to turn black, for them to realize that they should have got somebody else out sooner, because it's going to damage everything as it goes. So, but anyway, I'm going to get back and paint this wall, because silly me didn't realize I only brought a 10mm roll in that, and I got to cut all these grooves in, 1 good coat in there, and then I'll roll the face twice, but I've got to cut all these in, just like I did up the top, cut all that in and then roll the face, and I've got to do that twice. So I'm going to try and roll all that tonight, all that, and all down there. So we'll see how far we get. We might just get to the door and call it a night, and then do that tomorrow. So we've done all the kitchen. We painted all the kitchen. All we've got to do here is do the framework out. We're just going to paint that white tomorrow. Paint these doors in blue. And then I get paid for the job. Just a nice little pay packet in the door. And yeah, we move on to the next washing job. Catch you later.